You are never alone. You are never alone. Just reach into your heart and Allah is always there. You are never alone. You are never alone. Through sorrow and through grief, through happiness and peace, you are never alone.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another edition of Family Issues this afternoon. Thank you for tuning in, you guys, and please stay tuned. We have a very interesting episode with multiple guests in the studio and over the telephone as well. Don't forget to give us a call live, and the number should in fact appear on your screen now. And we're definitely here to receive your phone calls and to answer your questions and to take your feedback as well. Don't forget to log on to our Facebook page and check out the question for this episode and post your comment, and we will be reading those inshallah in the second segment. That is www.facebook.com/HudaTV, and from that point you can find the Family Issues Facebook page. Don't forget to support Huda TV as well on youtube.com/HudaTV. You can enjoy the online streaming or watch the uploaded videos as well as our Twitter account. I'm really excited about this episode. We have a wonderful topic which is very relevant for many people, particularly students and parents of students. As you know, most children all around the world are taking their final exams for the first semester of the academic year. So we wish them the best, inshallah, on that. I'm sure all you students there will in fact do well. Joining us today is a professor from Al Ain Shams University, based here in Cairo, Dr. Muhammad Abdurrahman, who is a TEFL, Teaching English as a Foreign Language Professor, and has a lot of experience in this regard, giving tests and taking tests. So inshallah ta'ala, we will benefit from his experience. And in the second segment, we'll take the other perspective, which is the perspective of the students. We have Brother Elias Townsend, and as well as Brother Yusuf from Bosnia. The first brother Elias, is a student at Al-Azhar University, and Brother Yusuf is also a student at Al-Azhar. So they will be talking here in Cairo, so they will be speaking about their experience taking the exams as well. So without any further ado, let me welcome our guest to the program. Assalamu alaikum, Doctor.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for that.
I think you've been here before on Straight Path and Let's Talk, and it's good to have you on Family Issues.
It's been a nice time all the time I come here. I love this place.
Thank you so much. May Allah help it keep running and continue to give this message, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So let's talk about tests. I mean, I think a test, it's a difficult time for students. It's a time of pressure and stress. So if you could perhaps begin by speaking about how a student, a college, a university, undergraduate, or high school student, any student taking a test, how should they approach or interact with their test?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Alayhi salatu wa salam. In fact, when I learned about tests, I'm just interested because, in my opinion first, a test is put to be answered. I'm sorry about that.
No.
It's all the time that some people think that I put a test so that people feel difficult and so on. But in fact, no. A question is put to be answered. And I, as a student, before a teacher, I need to know what kind of test you're going to give me. The structure, the skeleton. And after that, I need to know how you're going to correct me.
Right.
Of course. And after that, maybe I give you the paper, and you correct yourself. And you find something like, I give you 9 over 10, and maybe you give yourself 8 over 10.
SubhanAllah.
This is the idea.
Okay.
Transparent all the time. But related to testing itself, we need to better understand the meaning of a test. What is a test? And why a test? And what kinds of tests? And are they supporting learning or not? In some places they are not, but in right places they are. A test is feedback to me, telling me how am I doing the job. Should I go on like this or change or modify or this is in the system of evaluation.
Okay.
Not test and score and go out, go in and so on.
Okay.
So for anybody who has a test, they need to know everything about it just beforehand. And they need to be very well trained for that. When it comes to the test itself, maybe we start like remember him, as we remember him all the time.
Yeah.
I remember him that's saying, you are my God, you are Allah, and you are the help all the time. And we know, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Rabbi shrah li sadri, get my chest better when I deal with things. ويسر لي أمري, make it easy and facilitate the matter. And واحلل عقدة من لساني, make people understand what I'm saying, what I'm writing, and so on. يفقهوا قولي. Moses, peace be upon him, and all the prophets, when he was saying this, it was the idea of seeking help, number one. And this doesn't mean seeking help and forgetting about study and so on before. This is the main idea we're talking about. And actually, after that, we were talking about this maybe before, to be quiet. Maybe after this, I need to be quiet. Either the exam is long, short. Of course, the idea of long, short is not there. Because already you told me about it as my teacher. You told me how much, what kind of question. The question itself is not given, but the structure is given. And after that, maybe I'll start to write a few words about that. When it is, after that, read. And read it as any reading. And then try to put focus. And get to understand that you can answer number 3 before number 1. And number 1 before number 2. But put the question title. The other day, yesterday I was correcting a paper at university. The paper got like very good. But in fact, I met the lady after that because she was only one in a system, so I don't know the name, of course. But when I met her, I called her on the phone, telling her, this is very good. But actually, you have a few things like titles. Sometimes I feel the question 1 and question 2 are there. There is no separation and so on. This is because she was one lady, and only for what we call old system from other years. The problem is that this can never happen when we go to other people, like 200 people in one group. This is the idea. And after we read, we choose. And after we choose, it's very good when we read something at the end of the page, especially at university level. When I write something like what we call drafting something, or what we call, I don't remember the word. When you write something at the end of the page in order to get it
to continue to the next page?
I mean when draft. You draft the answer. Please don't erase it. Sometimes we look at this in order to check. I talk about university level. Because sometimes you answer a question for poetry. So you need to have some elements. Drafting some elements.
Notes and
then you go back. Leave it, please. And after that, say Bismillah in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and go ahead and answer.
Why leave it, doctor? Why, so you can see the complete thinking of the student? When you make those notes, why do you advise him to leave it, not erase it?
I'm sorry about this. It's
cold.
I learned that when I was a student. One of my professors told me that when you have what we call musawwada, what we call the page, the word went away, I don't know. Leave it. I sometimes look at it to know how you are thinking.
You give
and to get to the answer and the way you have the answer and so on.
Excellent point. Now, can you give some specific test-taking tips for students? Because, for example, when I would take an exam of like reading comprehension, what I would do is I would read the questions first to understand what they're asking. Because if I'm going to read a page or two of text, it contains a lot of information. So I would go forward and read the questions to understand what exactly they're looking for before.
Well, in fact, people are different concerning that. For example, I do remember that one of the problems was this. In Thanawi Amma, General Secondary Certificate Education, as we have it in Egypt, Thanawi Amma, it was the idea that we all, as students, me and my friends, praying for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please, no difficult word in translation, and no difficult word in comprehension passages. When there was some kind of misunderstanding of the meaning of reading. Lately, like a few years ago, I started learning different strategies of reading. Skim, scan, details, and so on. 10 years ago, I got this, but just one idea about it. Later on, I discovered how much important is that. I mean, skim means that I read very quickly to get the gist, the general idea, to get what is the text about. Even yesterday, I was talking to a student about that. I heard them talking about the test, TOEFL test, the international one, and they were saying something about it. So actually, I excused to have some note, just for help, and I told them about that. Because what did I see in the book of the test, preparing for the test? I saw a lot of Arabic translations. All the passages translated into Arabic. And even the questions. So I told them that the time of that test, because test is not only to answer, but in TOEFL, for example, it's time. And in all tests, there is time.
Right.
So it's just like a game, like a race,
right.
that you have to have it. So when we skim, exactly, number one, we know what the comprehension passage is about.
Right.
What is the translation, if we're going to translate. And number two, maybe we scan. We scan the text for a specific detail.
Right.
Date, for example.
Yeah.
Date of birth, wedding, birth, and
historical
so
event or whatever.
Exactly. And maybe after that, people are different. Some people prefer to read the questions first, and then to read the passage. And some people have it the other way around.
Okay.
Actually, it's both ways, whatever you like. But actually, first, when you skim, and you get the questions, and then you scan for, maybe you spot a question or so.
Right.
And again, this is for clever questions.
Right.
Because sometimes the test is not clever.
Right.
This is blind.
Yeah.
He's telling you, he went to Alexandria. And then the question is, where did he go? When
Right.
some people as teachers do it like that. Where and to. This is blind work.
Right.
But
right.
if the question is the grade, grades.
Yeah.
So one grade for this one, just to spot something.
Yeah.
Another one for understanding something, eliciting information. A third
Yeah.
one. That's why I'm talking to all kinds of tests. If you have the kind of test that needs, at least you skim and you know and you spot through scan and you can get the answer.
Okay.
And when you don't know the meaning of a word, forget about that. We don't translate in learning, for example, learning English.
Yes.
We don't translate.
Yeah.
But we need to have like what they call intelligent guessing. That
Yes.
maybe I know that one and that one, contextualized guessing.
Yes. Yes.
When people have the reading or deal with the reading or deal with, and of course before all of that, to read the heading of the question. Sometimes you go to the learning place, there is a test or so, and they call you, or I go directly. When somebody asks me a question, I go next to the student and tell him or her, please read, let's read it together. Sometimes people understand and tell me, oh, thank you, there is no question.
Right.
That's why wallahi, all the time I say this. Please, before asking a question in a test, ask it to yourself first.
Yes.
And try to find an answer. Later on, you can ask others for help.
Right,
But
right.
of course, after you read, and you read the questions, maybe you can draft something when there is time. But write from here, because some people think that if I get a piece of information from here, and another one from there,
Yeah.
the third one from back,
Right.
actually, it's very difficult. Big difference between learning and being honest, and the other thing that I don't like to say much, cheating.
Right. Well, thank you, doctor.
Thank you very much for that.
I like what you said about the context. You know, I use this in my daily life because I don't understand the Arabic language completely, so I have to put things into context and read body language and read and understand the situation. So I think that was a great point that you made there. I
Thank you
appreciate
very
it.
much for that.
But what about, you know, as students, we generally think, doctor, that our exams are our worst enemies. So we would like to go to college and to go to high school without having to take exams. You know, just go listen to the lecture, enjoy yourself, so there's no pressure. But the exam comes and it puts pressure on us. So how can we understand what is the, perhaps if we knew the purpose of the exam, what is the purpose of the exam? What role does it play? Why do we have to take exams in our academic life?
I think this relates to the purpose of learning itself. That's why all the time people have a different idea about learning, either learner-oriented or test-oriented. So if the exam is, if the whole learning is test-oriented, it means that there's no learning. You are coming for the exam, for a test, for a certificate.
Right.
But if the whole approach is learner-oriented, so we focus on the process and processes rather than the end result. And at the end also you have a better end result, but this is the idea. For example, I'm not coming to that program that after half an hour I want to leave, so I keep checking the watch.
Yeah, right.
No, I am coming to that I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had this talk, you and me, in our balance sheet of hasanat.
Right.
I come here so that maybe Allah gave me something. I would like to tell them about that. Maybe there is a problem I'm trying to solve and you help me about that. This is the orientation, learner-oriented. So this is based on the system we are having.
Right,
So for example, learner-oriented, there is a system. I deal with you, and I tell you, we discuss things related to that.
Right.
I don't give you one source. You are active enough to go on for more sources.
Right.
And you come up with, I give you the topics we need to discuss,
Right.
not the book that has the topics.
Yes, yes.
And then when you ask me about the exam, I would not answer. I would tell you, focus on learning. The exam is the easiest one.
Right.
And like 2-3 times before this, I'd give you a quiz to check your
where you
continuation of work.
Yes.
And another one to check that you are doing better. I would allow for more and more questions. I don't claim that I do all this, but at least we are trying to make the best of a bad job. With a big number, maybe you try to make them taste the meaning of learning.
Yeah, right.
Many times, wallahi, people ask me like this, what about the test? What about the topics? What's cancelled?
Yes.
What's done and so on?
Yeah.
But I tell them this is the easiest one. If we have 10 and we study 6, we get the test on the 6.
Right.
We study 7 on the 7, and the test you know everything about it. So people feel like, I don't claim that all people do the job right. After all of that, maybe somebody comes to the exam and tells me, here, should I write what is exactly in the book?
Right, right. Because I believe, and this happened in the United States, I do remember this being a controversy, teaching to the test. So the student comes and they say, tell me what is on the test, and the teacher teaches specifically what is on the test, so you have defeated the purpose of actually learning, and I think this is problematic.
You know something?
Go ahead.
Sometimes the students and I put the test together. I mean, I tell them, there are a range of questions, but what do you think about this? There are a range of topics. What do you think?
Right.
Which one did we have more stress? Which one that you think we don't want to be tested in that, and so on? Wallahi, at the beginning, some people tell me, huh? You put the test. I tell them, why not we?
Yeah, I like
so we
that.
know everything about that. Wallahi, many times it passes on like nice. Except for some people who could not be familiar with that, or couldn't become better with that. They come and ask me, sure? You mean it? And they come in the exam and they tell me, for example, I tell them, please have your opinion in a comment after the main one, the main body of the question, of the answer. When somebody tells me opinion, my opinion, I tell them yes. He told me how much? I tell him according to the opinion. If your opinion is summarized in 2 lines, it's very good. 1 line and a half is very good. 4 lines, I don't have a problem, but it's going to be your opinion.
I
this kind of work, I hope it lessens the idea of worry. You know that all the time it's good to worry, but to worry up to a limit. That doesn't hinder you from answering something.
I feel like sometimes we as students, we think the exam is there the teacher is there to trick us, to make us fail. But in fact, that's not the case at all. It's there to facilitate our learning, isn't it? But if we're a student and we're going to be tested, it is all right to have a good testing environment. So what are some tips for taking the test itself? I know a lot of students, they come to class, they have their mobiles on, they're talking to the person next to them. I know what I need. I need a quiet atmosphere, and I need an adequate amount of time. I don't want to be bothered to talk. I want to focus on my test. So what kind of atmosphere do you provide for your students when test taking?
Well, what kind of atmosphere I would like to have, do as you'd like to be done by. So actually, I do remember that one time it was as a student, and still now I think I'm still a student, it was the idea that some people were talking, mentors, invigilators. Some nice people responded and felt that I am not talking and you should not talk.
Yes.
See that?
Yeah.
One time I was like an invigilator myself after being a student, and I just monitor people. And one nice doctor came from, he was the supervisor of all the place, all the rooms, coming shouting for somebody who is looking at the other one, bothering all people around. Well, I was younger than him, of course.
Yeah.
I respect him so much, but I came next to him and told him, okay, this person, I can talk to that person. I mean, for us as students first, our rights are to have a silent place.
Yeah, certainly.
And to have people who are silent.
Yeah.
Wallahi, I remember one time in a test, the proctor it was my job to have criteria and to check the atmosphere and everything for the test. One of the criteria was this. Is the proctor or the invigilator wearing a kuchi which doesn't have a sound, or something like this? Imagine, and actually the lady, Miss Sama in Alexandria, more than 12 years ago, was wearing a kuchi.
You
see that?
Yeah.
I mean this. For people even who don't care about that, please do it, because this is for the people you are dealing with. Some people feel that those people who are having a test are not human beings, and they can receive shouts and so on. No,
of course not.
On the other hand, a student needs to be one direction. I mean, this is the test paper. I need the answer. So please hear. Don't tell me I'm only looking here.
Of course.
Looking
No, of course not.
Sometimes I tell people, excuse me, if you cannot fix yourself, tell me. There is something here, I can come and fix it for you.
Doctor, if I could
it's very good for our students to take a look at that.
Yeah.
You know that, wallahi, I wanted to start with that. Prophet, when he said, alayhi salatu wasalam, Allah loves a person who professionally does its job.
Yeah.
إن الله يحب إذا عمل أحدكم عملا أي يتقنه to do it as perfect as possible.
Professionally.
When I
Precise.
get my answer, and I would get like 9/10 in this question, and I look at another person to have something to make me 10/10. Actually, this mark spoils the 9 marks.
Yeah, right.
You are considered to have 0.
Yeah.
But your 9 is interesting, but it's yours.
Okay. Doctor, I'm going to take a quick phone call. We'll get right back to this point, inshallah. We have Brother Barry from here in Egypt. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Barry. Thank you for calling.
Hello.
Thank you so much for holding, Brother Barry. We're speaking about tests. Please let us know your thoughts and give us some advice for all those students out there watching the program. Go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead, Brother Barry. I can hear you loud and clear.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, Brother Barry. Welcome to the program. Go ahead, brother.
Welcome back, Brother Malik.
Hey, thank you so much, Brother Barry. Give me some advice regarding test taking.
Just it's normal, you know. Just like first of all to get a good night's sleep.
Of
Because
course.
if you are tired, it can be more difficult to concentrate and to be absorb information.
Of course. So good night's sleep.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's a
Allow
great,
for some quiet time before going to bed, avoiding intense study and computer games. you know?
okay. Yeah, great point, Brother Barry. So thank you for those 2 points.
And-
Go ahead.
And to eat well, because food can affect how you feel and think. It
Ye-
can influence
But not to eat
al-
much. actually.
alertness and absolutely to concentrate.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, Brother Barry, we certainly appreciate your call. Doctor, you were talking about, Brother Barry said get a good night's sleep, and he said eat well. But you said don't eat too much. Why did you say that, Doctor?
And then
Yeah.
so we have to avoid the confusion, you know.
Yes. Thank you so much, Brother Barry. Thank you for your phone call, brother. I certainly appreciate it. Doctor,
Actually,
go
thank you
ahead.
very much for that. You touched on a point that maybe I didn't talk about, but this is the idea. I mean, really, we need to be quiet. I remember the first time at university, and there was going to be a test tomorrow about novel. I told my friend, who we were studying together, let's go and read the whole novel again. When we spent it until the dawn, my friend told me, because we went to the exam very tired,
Yeah.
and actually our eyes were popping out.
Yeah.
He told me, I would never study with you again. I had a problem. I was worried. The first time at college, I'm not sure about
Right.
the same difference between secondary and university
Right,
life and so
right,
on. But this is the idea. Thank you very much. Brother, we need to sleep as well as possible.
Yeah.
At least 5 hours, I guess.
Yeah. Or
Even with worry.
Yeah.
But at least 5 hours.
Yeah, okay.
And also about eating, but eating light food. But because some people say, no, I have a test, I don't eat. And they go and faint in the test.
Right,
No,
right.
it's very good to eat something, but something light. But more important than that is just to have the feeling that you are going to do well.
Right.
Whatever you studied well or not, I don't call for no studying, but I mean, if even there is
Yeah.
something, inshallah, I'm going to do well. But actually, before this, it's very good for people, especially at university, when they have a big book to study, it's very good all the year, or even
Of
a
course,
month
yeah.
before the year,
Thank you.
to have notes, to summarize. My friends and I used to have all the notes and to make them in very, very small papers, only key ideas.
Yeah.
Some people were telling us, it is for cheat. We told them, no, Allah, it's for focusing on the
Yeah,
points
yeah.
we have, reading them until even before the exam, and then leaving them.
Yeah.
Getting to the exam, it's very good about the last page. To write whatever comes to your brain, whatever comes to your mind about any idea. Receiving the question paper, maybe you have some of these ideas there.
Yeah.
But watch out, because I made some mistake at that time. It was an exam in poetry. I read the exam. I liked the ideas very much. And I went on drafting ideas.
Right.
Checking the watch. No.
No more time.
1 hour. And still there are 2 hours. No, stop it. So please, you can take like 5 minutes, 10 minutes drafting something, but go back to the original question
Right.
and write it.
Okay. Doctor, unfortunately, we're out of time.
Thank you very much.
We
for
have
that.
too many things to talk about. Perhaps we can bring you in the future, inshallah.
Inshallah. It was just one thing. If I have the 30 seconds.
Okay, go
it
ahead,
was
go
the
ahead.
idea, how can we provide students with a good atmosphere to study with full concentration?
Okay.
So this is the idea mainly of allow them to talk, allow them to be active, allow them to share the learning process. Even, wallahi, a few years, like 3 years ago, I stopped writing on the board. Because I tell them, who the most important, they tell me, us. Who is talking? Us. Who should be? Us. So please come and write. People
Yeah.
come right, and please, for my friends, teachers, at any level, we want to evade the word WRONG.
Right, right.
We can say, try again.
Right.
We can say, you can do it. We can
Yeah,
say, this word is very tough. I'm sorry I took
No,
some
it's a
time.
great
but
point. Thank you for
thank
sharing
you very
that.
much for that.
I look forward to having you in the future, inshallah.
Inshallah.
And you
Thank
guys at
very
home,
much for
stay tuned. We're going to go into a quick break, and after the break, we're going to be joined by two students here who will be speaking from their perspective of taking exams and how they prepare for that, inshallah. So thank you for staying with us, and stay tuned. We will be right back, inshallah.
Never alone, you are never alone.
فلا وربك لا يؤمنون حتى يحكموك فيما شجر بينهم ثم لا يجدوا في أنفسهم حرجا مما قضيت ويسلموا تسليما. There are 3 levels. Sister Rayhan from Bahrain.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Fahim from Sweden. السلام عليكم.
السلام عليكم Sheikh, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, barakallah feek Fahim. May Allah bless you and your family.
Sheikh, I have one question.
Now, that is not allowed. Why isn't allowed? Because the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man ghasha falaysa minna." He who deceives or betrays does not belong to us. He's not one of us. A person who is given the sadaqah or leading the prayer does not have necessarily to be praying fard. Maybe he's praying the nafl that is after the prayer, the 2 sunnah after dhuhr or after maghrib or after isha. And the follower, the imam, will be praying with the intention of offering the fard that he has missed. Okay, barakallahu feek.
Reading the Quran is a blessing. Understanding its translation is beautiful. But diving in depth and extracting pearls from it is simply amazing. Did I not ponder upon the Quran? Every week, inshallah, we will dig deep and reflect on the verses of the Quran one by one.
Quran in Depth with Sheikh Ibrahim Zaidan, only on Huda TV.
Never alone, you are never alone.
Welcome back to Family Issues. We're talking about taking tests. You guys, in the first segment, we had a very respected professor from Ain Shams University, Dr. Muhammad Rahman, who gave us the some insight from the professors or teachers or instructors' perspective. In this segment, we're speaking to 2 students. That's right, 2 students to give us the perspective of taking tests from the student's perspective, and that is Brother Yusuf Nijad and Elias Townsend. Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers. Well, I'm looking forward to this because I've taken a few tests recently, and alhamdulillah, I didn't do bad, but I definitely prepared for it. There's a lot of preparation that went in there. But in any event, I wanted to talk about your experiences taking tests, and I know you are at Al-Azhar University, and you are preparing to enter, inshallah, and you are studying Arabic. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about your experience taking tests. Give us some tips. How do you prepare for a test? Go ahead, Brother Yusuf, and then Brother Elias.
Firstly, you must have a schedule, to plan all your exams, so to make the most important exams, the hardest exams, to just to make you time, to plan. For example, if it is a hard exam, to save more time for him, and also to have a plan B. For example, if something happens, like this, like nowadays in Egypt, you must be prepared. To have some time, extra time.
Right.
Of course, when you're studying. Before a couple of years, I read that it is also important, to have a lot of oxygen and a lot of water, because we had some case. One of our students before, I think 3 or 4 years, he was studying in the mosque. He haven't been drinking and eating enough, so after that he got two brain attacks.
Oh, okay.
So it must be study, but not to like
Kill
to
yourself.
study like 5 hours without drinking or eating.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you must have like also the time for drinking, the time for rest. You know,
Yeah.
and also we must avoid, you know, like you know, the chattings, you know,
Yeah.
the nights in the days of exams. You know.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, brother. Certainly, Brother Yusuf mentioned some excellent points. Giving yourself enough time. I know a lot of students, they cram, they wait till the last minute and they study all the information the night before, and they drink Red Bulls, and they stay up late, and they take the test and they go to sleep. But this is not. Why are you laughing, brother? It's true, right?
Yes, some students like this, you know.
But I know when I was undergraduate, a lot of kids did that, and in the end, you didn't learn anything. You didn't learn anything. You didn't really benefit. Didn't seem. Give me your advice, brother. Taking exams back from your BA back in the UK,
Yeah.
and also in the Arabic centers here. How is it going?
I think definitely waiting until the last minute and then cramming it all in doesn't work. And as soon as you leave the exam, you forget everything anyway. So I think it's important to always update your knowledge, always go over your notes.
Yeah.
As soon as you make them.
Yes.
That's the most important. One of the things that I found that helps me retain everything that I've learned is to go over notes as soon as you take them.
Yeah.
Maybe the same night, just read over it. And inshallah, it will help it stick in your mind.
Especially the grammar language stuff.
Yeah, it's very, very
pounded
important.
in there.
Yeah. But you know, to be fair, one of the most effective points I find personally is actually speaking about it or trying to teach someone.
Why? What do you mean?
Because if you learn something, when you try to teach someone, this means that you're explaining it in your words, and it helps you retain it in your mind.
Yeah.
You know, and I find that whenever I've taught something, it's always just reinforced what I've learned before.
Put into action.
Or put into action. So maybe when I'm teaching someone something, I'm probably gaining more than they are because I'm actually reinforcing what I know and explaining it. And sometimes you don't understand something until you actually try to explain it to someone else. It sounds strange, but that's what I've found personally. That works for me a lot. So actually speaking about the topic and teaching it helps retain and helps you to understand much more.
Thank you, brother. I'm going to go right back to you regarding your experience in the Middle East and in Africa and in the UK, learning-wise. But first, let me go back to Brother Yusuf. How is taking tests different back home in Bosnia and here in Egypt? Because I know they have a different emphasis in certain countries. Here, I believe they put emphasis on memorization, whereas in America, we put an emphasis on creativity. And so this results in what? Over there, I believe they have better critical thinking skills, but over here, but they're weak in memorization. When here, they're better in memorization, but they don't have really independent thinking skills. What are your thoughts?
For example, every country, depending on her culture, on its culture, it has like some, rules. Like, for example, here in Egypt, they are like stuck with memorization and doing only, the writing exams. For example, in Bosnia, also from the elementary school till university, we are more, dependent on oratory skills, so we have more oral exams than writing exams.
Okay.
And we have some problem in Bosnia because we are like we know everything, we know, for example, if you meet a student from Bosnia, he will know from everything something, because like, for example, in America they have like 2 years, ordinary and 2 another years of college's own specialization. We have we have that other system. We distribute all these subjects, throughout the school. But it is for example, of course, you have some good things from this, because in Bosnia we have a lot of discusses, especially in high school, regarding the subject, regarding the themes which are we now doing, But here in Egypt, they are like they introduce the American system, but it was better to introduce Egyptian system, but in American standard, because they took from America this
curriculum.
This curriculum, but it isn't working in Egypt,
Right. It has to be custom for the people.
Yes.
Yeah, it should be customized for the people. I agree with you. Instead of importing the British system, the American system, we have to make a local system that understands the local culture. Brother, I want to go back to you, Brother Elias. You studied and took your BA in the UK, and now you're here studying as well. What's the difference in the methodology of learning, or the style of learning, or what does learning mean? How is it different from here and there? And talk about that, the pros and cons of both, perhaps.
Yeah, I think you touched on it earlier on. I think in Western, talking from British perspective and US perspective, a lot is focused on expression in creativity and understanding.
Right.
And so the issues with regards to memorization is not focused on at all. We never, in university, you never really had to memorize like a list or...
I can never remember memorizing.
Yeah, you never had to do anything like that. But if you just understand the topic, then you have to discuss it. Then of course you have to bring in maybe some quotations or some references to prove your point. I mean, that's one thing that we have to focus on a lot in university is actually referencing. This was something that was, they call it Harvard referencing, you have to mention the book. In that regard, there is some memorization involved, but that was more with regards to coursework. So you wouldn't have to actually remember the book, but you get off the internet or what have you. So definitely the key focus was understanding and expression, whereas over here, it's not so much emphasized. Over here, it's more just memorization. You memorize this list, and these are the categories, and in each category there's 4 lists, and that's what it's more based on over here. And sometimes the transition is quite difficult because you're just not used to memorizing so many lists or what have you. But at the same time, the way we've been taught or the way we've grown up learning is that you don't memorize a list per se, but you just express the understanding of the topic. So it is kind of difficult to adjust in the beginning. It does take a while.
I believe memorization is necessary in some regard, especially in the Islamic fields and sciences, but I believe comprehension is like the most important thing. I believe that, and I think that we lack that here in the Muslim world. What do you think?
For example, in Bosnia, I love, because in our Islamic high schools, we have the both. We have some memorization, but we are also like in every class, we have like a part, only for discuss. For example, if you are studying something and memorizing this without speaking about it, just memorizing, you will maybe forgot, or maybe you will not comprehend it. Like maybe you will not figure it out. So you must to have a discuss on this. So you also, and also you can see a difference between some professors, if he's only like only lecturing without any discussion, but some professors, and I love to go to their lectures because they are also making point or stress on discussion with the students.
It's important
because in these discussions the student maybe he'll find out another way. Or maybe in these discussions also the professor will learn. We had in ancient Greece, this because we are from Greece, I must mention this. We have like this, the sophists, they were using like this discussion. Because in discussion, also the professor and the student, they will learn. The professor, he will learn maybe some another ways, or he will hear some other thoughts. But if you don't have like this, if professor is only speaking, and it is also not like but it is also not compatible with Islam, because if we look back in the past, in the time of Prophet, people's peace be upon him, he was making discussion with people. He would not say this like this. For example, in the Battle of Badr, he take the advice of Habib al-Munzir. He took the advices from other people. That's an excellent point.
I remember as an undergraduate, for every 3 hours of lecture we had 1 hour was called discussion, where everybody would sit with their teacher's aide, and they would say, okay, what did you understand from what the professor said? And it was like a teacher's assistant, like a graduate student, and then we would talk about it, and it was helpful. It would confirm it.
In UK, we'd have the lecture, then you have to go to a seminar afterwards. That's where you have the...
that's it. Let me take a phone call from our student from Al-Azhar University, frequent guest and respected brother, Sheikh Zakaria Ibrahim. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Zakaria. Thank you for joining us.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Sheikh Zakaria. If you can hear me, please take us back to your youth in South Africa and share with us some stories of taking an exam, and share with the viewers there, the students, some advice concerning some practical tips of how to take an exam.
Basically, alhamdulillah, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallim. From the days that we were studying, our teachers would always advise us that it is very important for a student firstly to go back and to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to assist him in the exams that are coming forward, because as we know, sometimes the exams could be very pressurized. Many students go through different problems when they have exams, the stressing and the peer pressure. So it is very important that we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our Creator, and we confide Him.
Thank you, Sheikh Zakaria. Unfortunately, the line cut. Sheikh Zakaria is a regular guest and a wonderful brother who has a lot of insight. So hopefully we can get him back on the line. Brother Lisa, I want you to give me some advice now, and the students some advice, some practical tips. You know, you're walking to your class, and you have the exam in front of you. What do you do? What are some things that are going through your mind? How can I put myself in a position? I've studied now. I've prepared. Now, how can I take the exam? How can I put myself in a position to do the best I can?
I think first thing first, you sit down, take a deep breath.
Yes.
if you're allowed to drink in the exam,
yes.
Have some water, and read through the question paper first before you answer anything. I think it's important to read. Maybe take 5-10 minutes, read each question, and start to formulate answers in your mind before you start writing. So question 1, question 2, question 3. Try to understand each question. Then maybe after that, me personally, I always choose the easy questions first. Get them out of the way.
Yeah.
So you know.
Me too.
It's done. It's easy.
Get your confidence rolling too.
Get your confidence up, and then for the final questions that maybe are a little bit more difficult, read the question again, maybe 2-3 times, and then begin to write and formulate your answer. When you finish the whole exam, make sure you read over it. This is one thing that the teachers would always say to us: read over your exam before you just throw it in the bin, or
right.
before you get up and leave and go and have a burger.
There's no way back.
There's no way back. So read through the exam carefully, each word, and then, because one thing you'll find is that maybe you forgot something, you want to add something on, or you forgot to answer this question this way. So make sure you read through the answer paper maybe 2-3 times until you're just sure 100% that that you're happy with the exam.
Because for sure, there's a question that you thought was really easy, but you missed it because you read over it too quickly. That always happens, you know. So it's important to, if you're allotted 2 hours and you finish in an hour and 15 minutes, what's the harm in just taking the 45 minutes just to revise it? Yeah. So I definitely couldn't agree with you more.
I love to drink a tea if I have a lot of time. So just to
be relaxed, to be comfortable.
Relax. Yeah. If I have a time, I will order a tea. So we have a tea on Azhar, so I will order a tea so I can relax. It is also good. I think we can apply this in all of university. To have like this in you can order tea to be relaxed atmosphere.
Go to the restroom, wash your face, be comfortable.
And regarding this, what about the thing which Arbad said, about the reading the questions. One of our scholars, one doctor in technology, he made up one a system of learning. So, and he also founded one private university, the University of Science and Technology, and he has one way. First, he wants to from student I know maybe to take third of half time only in reading the questions and thinking about the questions, and after the half or 2/3 of exam to write. First, to read a lot of and to think about this. Of course, he made also a time for this, and maybe it is helping, because he will thinking. So he tried to apply this on another university in the world. So then he made a private university.
I think it's important, thank you, brother, also to be calm, like you said, and make yourself comfortable.
Yes.
Put yourself in a position to do well. Don't do bad because you didn't give yourself the tools and the environment to do so. But what about studying? I know studying now, okay, for example, you have your Facebook on, your computer's on, you're on Twitter, you have the TV on. So how important is it for the study environment? I mean, how do you guys study? I mean, for me, I need a quiet atmosphere. I don't want to be bothered. I want to be comfortable. I can't have any external input, How about you, brother?
At first, I was uncomfortable with learning in silence. I had to have something on, like the CD on or the TV on. And then I went through a phase where I had to have everything silent.
Quiet, yeah.
But now I've got kids, it's impossible.
So, of course, yeah.
So you have to readjust. So at the moment, it's more of a thing of just putting up with the children. They come running in, one of them's crying or when they're playing and stuff. You just get used to it in the end, and because for me to have just silence now and it's impractical. So you kind of get used to it. I mean, at the moment, the main thing I have to do now is, as I'm revising, is reading, maybe writing, maybe highlighting, just reading over. Because now it's more like memorization. The understanding is, I don't really, you need it, but you need to focus on memorization as well. So things that help are, you know, when you're on a bus, when you're walking, you know, things like that help things tick over. There was a man in the UK actually who said that he learned an additional 7 languages by using the time that people don't really give consideration to. Things like when he was in a queue waiting. So that he learned 7 additional languages. Just by using those times and opportunities where maybe some of us would just stand there and wait and start sighing and push someone.
My friend memorized the Quran doing that in Egypt. But real quickly, before we go to Sheikh Zakaria on the phone, that's an excellent point. I couldn't agree with you more. I actually just lost my train of thought. I wanted to share something with you. Oh, about the using your time. That's very important. My friend Muhammad Adab told me, an Arabic teacher now at Utah State University. He said, when we learn languages, don't ask why, just ask how. How? Don't ask why. Just memorize it and understand it. These are the rules of the language. Just go with it. It doesn't matter why. You don't need to know. We have Sheikh Zakaria back on the phone with us. Sheikh Zakaria Ibrahim from Al-Azhar University. Thank you for calling back, brother. I want you to give the students some advice, some real-life advice, how to take an exam and how to put yourself in the best position possible to score well on your exams.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallim. Inshallah, Brother Malik, alhamdulillah, you know, it is always with the blessings of our teachers that they have always encouraged us that when a person, before he studies, there is actually a method of studying so that you do not fall into the peer pressure or into the worries and concerns that normal people have, and that you put your trust into Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and with that also encourage yourself to study. So basically, firstly, a person should have the tools of, he should be a student that is studying. Because many a times you would find that some guys come to the exam rooms and they don't know what is happening because he did not go over his work or he had no timetable. Anyway, there is some of the du'as that you recite before studying, which is, for example, you would say, Allahumma inni as'aluka fahman nabiyyin. This is before you open your book. So basically you would say, Allahumma inni as'aluka fahman nabiyyin. Oh Allah, grant me the understanding, that understanding which you have granted the prophets. وَحِفْظُ الْمُرْسَلِينَ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ الْمُقَرَّبِينَ. And the memorizing and the understanding as you have granted your messengers and those malaika, the angels that always obey you, and those that are close to you. And then you say, Allahumma ja'al al-sinatana amiratun bi-dhikrik. And Ya Allah, let it always be that our tongues are filled with your remembrance. وَقُلُوبِنَا بِخَشْيَتِكَ. And our hearts are always filled with your remembrance and with your fear. وَأَسْرَارِنَا بِطَاعَتِكَ. And oh Allah, whatever we have inside of us, let it always be of obedience. إِنَّكَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. Oh Allah, you are the one that carries all the power. وَحَسْبُنَا اللَّهُ وَنِعْمَ الْوَكِيلُ. And oh Allah, you are sufficient and you are the best of representatives, you are the best of guardians. This is before you open your book. And then when you have opened your book and now you start to study, you recite durood, and then with proper concentration, you go over your work. And then when you have finished studying, you say, Allahumma astawdi'uka ala ma qara'at. Ya Allah, I put into you now the trust and the commitment of what I have read. وَمَا حَفِظْتُ. And that which I have memorized. وَمَا تَعَلَّمْتُ. And that which I have learned. فَرُدُّهُ لِي عِنْدَكَ حَاجَتِي إِلَيْهِ. And Ya Allah, when I need it, then bring it back to me, because you are the only one that has the power to bring that back to me. إِنَّكَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. Verily you are the most powerful. And then they mention when the student is going towards the exam room, he should say, Allahumma inni tawakkaltu ilayk. Ya Allah, I put all my trust in you. Wa aslamtu amri ilayk. And Ya Allah, my mission and what I'm going for, I have put everything in your possession. La malja'a wa la manja minka illa ilayk. There is no entrance into becoming successful, and there is no entrance into being a successful student only except if you allow it. And then when you enter into the exam room, you mention, Rabbi adkhilni mudkhala sidq. Ya Allah, grant me an entrance of truth. وَأَخْرِجْنِي مُخْرَجَ صِدْقٍ. And let me come out as a person of truth who did not do anything which was contrary to your obedience. وَجَعَلْنِي مِنْ لَدُنْكَ سُلْطَانًا نَصِيرًا. And Ya Allah, always keep me from amongst those that you overlook and from those that you assist. And then while you are answering, sometimes you might forget something. So they always mention that you should say, رَبِّ اشْرَحْ لِي صَدْرِي. Ya Allah, open up my bosom. وَيَسِّرْ لِي أَمْرِي. And make it easy for me, this task of mine. وَحْلُلْ أُقْدَةً مِّن لِسَانِي. And take off all the knots or the difficulties from my tongue if we have an exam which is verbally. وَيَفْقَهُ قَوْلِي. And let them understand whatever I am saying. Allahumma la sahla illa ma ja'altaha sahla. There is nothing easy except what you have made easy. Ya Arhamar Rahimeen, O the merciful of those that are most merciful. And if a person has to forget something, he should recite durood. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallim. He could even say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And then he should say, Allahumma ya jami'an nas liyawmin la rayba fi. Ijma' ala dalati. Oh Allah, the one that will gather all the people on the day of Qiyamah, gather for me that which I have lost. Subhanallah. And then finally, when you complete your exams, you should say, Alhamdulillahi alladhi hadana lihada, wa ma kunna linahtadiya lawla an hadana Allah.
Barakallahu feek, Sheikh Zakaria Ibrahim. I certainly appreciate that list of supplications, brothers. I hope you benefited as well. Some practical information for people taking tests. I hope they benefited from it. I know I did. And thank you guys for being in the studio with me. I look forward to seeing you next time, inshallah. And you guys at home, thank you for staying tuned to Family Issues. I certainly hope you benefited from this episode. Until next time, if there's next time, inshallah, I leave you in the care of Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Never alone, you are never alone. Through sorrow and through grief, through happiness and peace, you are never alone. So now, as you long for your past, prepare for your future, but knowing nothing's gonna last. You see, this life is but a road, a straight and narrow path to our final abode. So travel well, O Muslim, and paradise will be your home. And always remember that you are never alone.